Come on, Frida. Let's save the world. My older sister and I played hero with dolls. I was saving Frida from the great dragon, and I was about to win when suddenly 3 boys appeared.
Oh, look, it's the freak and her little sister. They're playing with dolls like little losers.
Frida looked down. The boys of the village were always teasing her for her hair, which was quite a beautiful color in my opinion. But no one else on the island had the same hair color as her. Because of this, she was always teased, just because she was a little different. Leave us alone!
Oh yeah? What are you going to do about it?
You might think I'd have no chance against 3 older boys, but think again. I headbutted one of them while the other 2 backed away in fear.
This girl's crazy.
Yes, I'm crazy, and if you don't leave us alone, I'll destroy you! Hey guys, my name's Astrid, and I'm a Viking. Please like and subscribe. My dad is the chief of our Viking village. He raised myself and my sister all on his own, and I couldn't have wished for a better dad. But things were tough for him. You see, usually boys are the ones who grow up to become chief of a village, and he only had daughters. But soon he discovered I was no ordinary girl. I loved fighting, and since I was just a wee baby, I knew I wanted to become the best warrior in the world. Dad, I want to fight.
Astrid, you don't even know how to walk yet. But don't worry. As soon as you can start, I'll put you in training.
My older sister Frida was the exact opposite of me. She wanted to live a more gentler life. Look, Frida, I destroyed my target.
Oh, that's nice.
For our birthdays, my dad would give Frida a pretty dress and give me a new suit of armor. I love it. Thanks, Dad.
That's my Astrid. You'll make a fine chief one day.
Finally, when I was 14, Dad put me in training school. I was so happy. But my first day at school wasn't as amazing as I'd expected it to be.
This is no easy feat. Graduating from my training means hours of hard work and pain. Are you up for that?
Yes, sir.
And look what we have here. The chief's daughter.
I'm excited to get started, sir.
Is that so? You think you're up for this? You're the only girl who is in the class, you know. Usually I wouldn't accept girls, since they're much weaker than men. But since your dad is the chief, I had to go against my own wishes.
I clenched my fist. Did he just call me weak? I think, sir, you'll find women aren't nearly as weak as you think.
Oh, really?
Our teacher walked out to the fighting circle and gestured for me to follow.
You think you're so tough? Fight me.
What?
Fight me. Knock me down to the ground. Prove to me women aren't weak.
I took a deep breath and readied myself. I lunged at him, but within seconds he had tripped my legs and sent me face first into the dirt. Ow! The whole class of boys laughed at me while the teacher sneered in my face.
You still think you can handle my school?
I wanted to punch this dude in the face then and there, when suddenly I heard a voice call out from the crowd.
That's not fair. She's untrained, and you want her to fight against you? A professional. Why don't you have one of us fight you and see if we can do better? She didn't lose because she's a girl. She has just as much of a chance as us boys. Ooh. What are you? Soon to be wed? Look at Eric. So noble. That's enough. You, get up. And you, 100 push-ups for talking back to me.
We all got up and watched as Eric did 100 push-ups. I felt terrible. He was doing this because of me. After he finished and the teacher called us over to teach us the mechanics of using a shield, I went over to Eric. Hey, I'm sorry about...
Why are you apologizing? You shouldn't be sorry for anything. Our teacher is the one who should apologize.
But still, thank you. I really appreciate what you did.
Anytime, Astrid.
You know my name?
You're the chief's daughter. Of course I know. And gosh, it's a bit embarrassing. But when we were little, I sort of maybe had a little tiny crush on you.
Oh.
But not anymore. I mean,
Well, I hope we can be friends. I have a feeling you're the only nice one in this whole class. What do you say?
Of course we'll be friends.
After that day, Eric and I got really close. We would hang out even outside of training school, and I came to realize just how kind, funny, and charming Eric was. Secretly, I had a crush on him, so it made me sad to know he didn't feel the same way. One day, Eric invited me over to the fighting ring so we could practice one-on-one. Sure, I was a lot better than the first day our teacher had humiliated me. Eric tried to jab at me, but I caught his arm and flipped it on the ground, landing on top of him.
Wow, you're much better than me.
Why are you surprised? Eric looked up at me, and I don't know what made me do it. Whether it was the adrenaline or the rush, but I suddenly leaned in and kissed him.
Whoa.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have.
Astrid, you gotta stop apologizing.
But I just kissed you.
And I'm glad you did.
What? But that first day at training, you said you didn't have a crush on me anymore.
I just said that because I was too embarrassed to admit I still had a crush on you.
Oh, well, yay!
Yeah.
Eric and I started to date seriously after that, and I invited Eric over for dinner one night so he could meet my dad and sister.
This food is delicious. Thank you.
Frida made it. She's really good at cooking.
Not as good as my Astrid sparring. I heard she took you down in the ring today. Yeah, she's the best in the class. She must take after you. You bet. I heard you're second best in the class, though, Eric. Well,
He is. He's amazing.
If he's so amazing, why don't you just marry him?
Frida? What are you saying?
I've lost my appetite. It was nice to meet you, Eric. Goodbye.
Frida left the table and we sat in awkward silence.
what's up with her?
I don't know. Eric, I'm sorry about my sister.
No, it's fine. This dinner was lovely. I really enjoyed your company, Chief. Come again, anytime, Eric.
I was glad my dad approved of Eric, but what was up with Frida? Eric was the perfect guy. Why didn't she like him? I decided to go to her room after dinner. Frida, can we talk?
What is there to talk about?
You were acting a little strange at dinner. Is something up?
If you have to know, I don't like Eric.
What? But why?
I don't trust him, Astrid. He gives off bad vibes.
What do you mean, bad vibes? Frida, you can trust him. I would trust him with my life.
Whatever. Let's just forget it, all right?
Frida got into bed and ignored me. I sighed. I loved Frida, and I cared about her opinion of my boyfriend. I really wish she liked him. That night, I kissed Eric goodbye, and he left to go home. I had no idea that was the last time I'd see him for years. The next day, Eric didn't show up at training school. Maybe he's sick. But when I went to his house, his mom said he hadn't come home last night. That's when I started to panic. We searched the whole island for Eric, but we couldn't find him anywhere. He just disappeared. Years passed. I missed Eric terribly, and the only thing keeping me going was my training school. Now my grief for Eric had turned into power in combat, and I was undefeated in my class. Finally, I decided to challenge my teacher to a combat as revenge for that first day at school years ago. Come on, none of the other guys can defeat you. Why don't you let me try?
Fine. But don't think, 'cause you're a girl, I will go easy on you.
Oh, please don't. We readied ourselves, and this time, teacher made the first move and lunged at me. But I easily sidestepped him, then swung around and tripped him. The rest of the class was speechless. Man, this felt good. But suddenly, horns sounded and we all rushed outside. Those were the horns that meant someone was attacking the island. I spotted Dad running toward the northern point of the island. Dad, what's happening?
The enemy's been spotted. Hundreds of them. Get your weapons ready. This is no training practice. This is the real deal.
I nodded and got all my gear and rushed to catch up with my dad. On the way there, I bumped into Frida.
Astrid, what's
Frida, get back to the village center. Stay safe.
Where are you going?
To fight.
No, Astrid, let the men handle this, please.
No, Frida, this is what I've been training for. I hugged her quickly and then ran off after Dad. Frida called for me to stay back, but I ignored her pleas. When we made it to the cliff edge, we were shocked by how many attackers there were. We were outnumbered 2-1.
Men, you know what we must do. We defend our home or die trying!
Dad's warriors roared in response, and we all charged. The battle was intense. We easily could have been defeated, but thanks to my dad's leadership, we managed to thwart the enemy attackers and send them retreating. In the aftermath of the battle, I approached my dad. How did they manage to get on shore?
Someone must have guided them from the lighthouse. Otherwise, there's no way they would have made it through those rocks.
But does that mean?
Yes, we have a traitor among us. Chief, someone spotted a figure at the lighthouse. Quick, let's catch this traitor before he escapes.
We rushed to the lighthouse and entered. The traitor was the last person I expected to see. Eric?
Wait, Astrid, isn't this your old boyfriend?
Yes. I don't understand. He can't be a traitor. Eric was unconscious, but he started to wake up at the sound of our voices.
What? Where am I? What happened? Don't play games with me, boy.
Dad, stop it.
No, Astrid. This boy's a traitor, and he must be punished. Send him to the dungeons.
No. But no matter what I said, they wouldn't listen. Eric was sent to the dungeons and his fate would be decided in the morning. I sat in my room in despair. Eric was a traitor? I couldn't believe it, but he was at the lighthouse. He surely was the one who had guided our enemies onto our island. But it made no sense. Why had he disappeared? Why turn up now? And why was he unconscious when we found him? I couldn't make any sense of it. Someone knocked on my door and Frida appeared.
Astrid, I made some tea for you.
Oh, thanks, Frida. She handed me the tea and I sat there numbly. Go on. You can say I told you so.
I wasn't gonna say it.
But you were right. Eric couldn't be trusted.
I'm sorry, Astrid.
I sighed and leant my head against her. At least I have you, huh? Frida was silent and then she stood up.
Make sure you drink your tea.
I nodded and took a sip. I suddenly started to feel sleepy. I think I'll go to sleep.
You do that.
There was something about Frida's voice that sounded off, but within a few seconds I was already asleep. In my dreams, I started hearing strange noises and I woke up to battle sounds. I looked outside and screamed. Our village was being swarmed by the enemy. I ran out and went to Frida's room, but it was empty. I went to Dad's room and found him asleep in his bed. I decided to leave him and run outside. Suddenly, I heard footsteps and I was surrounded by the enemy. I was doomed. A shadowy figure appeared behind the enemy. Wait, I recognized that voice. The enemy parted to make way for Frida. Frida, thank Odin you're okay.
Oh, I'm more than all right, sister.
Frida? No, don't tell me.
Yes, I'm the traitor.
No, it can't be.
Oh, but it's true.
Why, Frida? Why would you do this? This is your home.
It never felt like my home. I've always lived in your shadow. I've always been the weaker sister. Didn't you realize that, as the older one, I should be the one to become chief? But no, just because you're into your stupid warrior nonsense, it should be you who becomes chief. Well, I wasn't gonna let you go on by and steal my crown. So, I called some friends over to take over this rotten island.
And Eric?
That fool? Oh, the poor thing caught me one day talking to the enemy about my plans. So of course I had to silence him. It's a pity you decided to pick him out as your boyfriend. But we all must make sacrifices, mustn't we?
You made him disappear?
I got my friends to keep him prisoner in a hidden cave on the island. Then when the time struck for the attack, I planted him at the lighthouse so he would look like a traitor. It was all too easy, really.
Frida, we're sisters. How could you do this?
It was the only way. Men, deal with them.
Frida turned away, turned her back on me, on her family, her home, and the enemy marched forward. I prepared to defend myself when suddenly a war cry was heard, and Eric appeared. Eric knocked down the first line of enemies in a flash.
I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to you, Astrid.
I'm so happy you're alive, Eric.
Frida,
I know.
I'm sorry.
Now you're the one apologizing?
We can defeat them, Astrid.
I nodded. Together, the enemy rushed toward us and we charged. We knocked them down one after another, like pawn pieces on a chessboard, until eventually they were all unconscious. Only Frida stood there, baffled by our comeback.
But no.
I approached my sister, eyeing her down for the traitor she was.
Fine. Go on. Kill me.
I reached her and...
Huh?
I'm sorry, Frida. I should have realized how unfairly we'd been treating you. Me, Dad, we should have paid more attention to you. I should have paid more attention to you. But I see you now. I hugged her tighter. I see you. I could feel Frida's hot tears splashing on my own cheek.
I didn't want any of this.
There. I know.
I'm sorry, Astrid.
It's okay. I forgive you. We held on to each other for dear life. I don't know what the future holds, but for now, I know I have to be there for my sister. Be there.
Have you ever been betrayed by your loved ones? If not, then you are very lucky. I was betrayed by my best friend. Hi, I'm Mila. Press like and subscribe to the channel. Fiona and I were complete opposites. She was a real beauty, but well, looks aren't the only thing that matter, right? Haha. Despite all that, though, we were friends. One day, we were sitting in a cafe. Fiona was telling me about something, but I was hardly paying any attention to her. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Jacob and his friends were passing by the cafe. I couldn't help but stare after him. He was so handsome. Wait a minute. Do you have a crush on Jacob? Damn it! I didn't want to talk about it, but there was nothing I could do. I had to admit that someone like me had fallen in love with the coolest guy in our neighborhood. You have to take the first step and make him notice you. Are you kidding? Look at me. Looks don't matter. We just need to act. Fiona convinced me to give it a try. I waited for Jacob on the street and tried to talk to him several times, but nothing worked. Sometimes he laughed, but mostly he didn't notice me at all. One day, Fiona invited me over to her place and told me some good news. Jacob invited me to a pool party. You're coming with me. But I wasn't invited, and I have nothing to wear. Nonsense. No one's gonna mind if I bring a friend with me. And as for your clothes... She took an outfit with tiny shorts out of the closet. I doubted it was a good idea, but Fiona made me try it on. It looked stunning on her, but it was bursting at the seams when I put it on. I hoped I'd be able to take it off later. Then Fiona did my makeup and covered up my pimples. They were still noticeable though. I looked in the mirror and wilted. I can't do this! You can't Photoshop me in real life, so I'm not going. Oh, come on! You look great! And somehow my friend managed to convince me. There were a lot of guests at the party. Fiona and I were complimented a lot. It might be hard to believe, but Jacob even asked me to dance. I couldn't believe it was really happening. Wow! At some point, everyone started changing into swimsuits and jumping into the pool. I immediately moved away. I had always been afraid of water, and I didn't know how to swim. Mila, jump in. Yeah, come on, let's swim. I kept refusing, feeling embarrassed. Then Fiona called me over. I came closer to the pool, and my friend suddenly pushed me in the water. Ah! Why had she done it? She knew about my phobia. I panicked and I started flailing in the water. I was really scared. Someone threw me an inflatable mattress. I tried to climb on top of it, but I was too heavy and it didn't work. And everyone was laughing at me the whole time. I looked at Fiona and I couldn't believe my eyes. She was kissing Jacob. What was going on? After a few minutes, I finally managed to get out of the pool. I immediately went up to Fiona. How could you do that? We're friends. Friends? Don't make me laugh. I just felt sorry for you. Thanks for doing my homework for me, by the way. I couldn't believe she said that. Oh, and Jacob isn't interested in you, so leave him alone. Everyone started laughing at me again. I wanted to sink through the floor. Jacob was grinning too. Sorry, girl, but you're not good enough for me. I couldn't bear it any longer, and I ran away. A girl caught up to me by the door and patted me sympathetically on the shoulder. Fiona's been saying nasty things about you behind your back for a long time. Before the party, I accidentally overheard a conversation. How can you be friends with someone so plain? It's embarrassing. We're not friends. Mila just follows me around. Not friends, you say? Prove it. She pushed you into the pool on purpose. Hearing that didn't make me feel any better. Quite the opposite. I get it. Thank you for telling me. I spent the evening at home, crying. Then my parents told me something surprising. I was offered a job in California. This is our chance at a good life. We're moving there in a few days. Yes! I was glad. I wouldn't have to see Jacob or that traitor Fiona again. I wondered what would await me in California. Do you see that confident beauty? It might be hard to believe, but that's actually me. Let me tell you what happened. Several years passed since we moved. At first, I felt miserable and I mostly stayed at home. But then I got angry and I decided I would change. I signed up for swimming classes to overcome my fear of water. Then I started surfing, going to the gym, and losing weight. Dad's career took off, and we quickly got rich. I asked him for some money so I could go to a cosmetologist. And soon, I got rid of my ugly pimples, became more confident, and got great at surfing. I even took part in competitions. Life got better. But one day, Dad had to go to another country for a while for work. Mom went with him, and I was sent to my grandmother for the summer. You want to guess where she lived? In my hometown, in the neighborhood where I used to hang out with Fiona. It would be hilarious if we met. Both Fiona and Jacob would be stunned if they saw me. And you know what? We did meet, but their reaction surprised me. One day, I went for a walk and accidentally ran into Fiona. She was hanging out in the park with her friends. Fiona looked me up and down and noticed both my Gucci handbag and Apple Watch. Hi! I think I saw you with a suitcase. I came to stay with my grandmother for the holidays. Cool! Well, I'm Fiona. What's your name? Wait, didn't she recognize me? Jacob was sitting next to her. He also looked like he was seeing me for the first time. I wanted to tell them who I was and see the look on their faces, but I got a better idea. I decided I would take revenge on both Fiona and Jacob. I'm 𝗕𝗓. Can you show me around? I've never been here before. They agreed, and I joined them. While walking, I noticed a poster. Just imagine, swimming competitions were going to take place here. I immediately decided I was going to participate. In the evening, I applied for the competition and described all my past achievements. And soon, I got permission to participate. I practiced each morning, and in the afternoons, I hung out with Fiona. When she found out that my dad had his own company and I was a swimming champion, she immediately asked if we could be friends. One day, she told me that her parents were very strict. They cared about their reputation a lot. But they were leaving that night, and Fiona was thinking of throwing a party in their house. Oh, you should totally do it! It's not like they're gonna find out about it anyway. I mentally rubbed my hands together with villainous glee. They would definitely find out. I would make sure of it. When the party started, I came up to all the guests and tried to make them laugh. Then, I started sneakily increasing the music volume, and I broke an expensive statuette. After that, I called the police and said I was Fiona's neighbor. Teenagers are making noise in the house next door. And soon, the cops arrived. They called Fiona's parents, and they had to come back. My former friend was in a world of trouble. The next day, I decided it was Jacob's turn. I invited him for a walk, and I started flirting with him. It was pretty obvious he had a crush on me. He was constantly complimenting me and trying to make me laugh. Oh, you should come to my swimming practice in the morning. And he came. I mean, of course he did. While I was practicing, Jacob took a bunch of photos of me. You're so beautiful. My plan worked. Lady Luck was finally smiling on me in this town. Everything was going so much better than expected. Fiona told me her secrets. Nothing had changed in the past few years. She was still saying nasty things behind people's backs. She loved gossiping. I've been looking for a friend like you for a long time. The other girls just can't compare to us. Remember Sarah? Her makeup is terrible. She looks like a parrot. While she was talking about her friends, I quietly recorded her on my phone. I wanted to expose her right away, but I decided I would wait for the right moment. Meanwhile, Jacob kept trying to impress me. He gave me various gifts, took me out on dates, and came to my practices. At one point, I caught myself thinking that he was pretty cute, but I remembered what had happened in the past. No way, I wasn't buying it. Jacob was a bastard. One day, Fiona and I went for a walk. She looked really pleased with herself. An awesome photographer asked me to pose for him. I want to become a model, so this is my chance to shine. I immediately got an idea. I remembered that Fiona was allergic to honey, so I bought a cream based on it, put it in a different jar, and gave it to my friend. I bought it from California. It's great for your skin. Oh, awesome. Thank you. In the morning, I was woken up by her call. Fiona was basically screaming into the phone. I have spots all over my face and I look terrible. I can't go to the photo shoot looking like this. Oh, it was probably something you ate. You should go to the photo shoot anyway. Maybe the photographer will fix it with retouching. I was acting supportive, but I was actually gloating. When the photographer saw her, he immediately canceled the photo shoot. Fiona was devastated. It served her right. After we left the studio, I told her I had practice, and I instead went on a date with Jacob. I have a surprise for you. You like water, right? He brought me to a 𝗪𝗓𝗏𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗏. The show was actually really cool. I wanted to thank Jacob when I noticed that he looked kinda sad. Hey, is something wrong? No, I just remembered something. I did something I'm not very proud of. I laughed at a girl who was afraid of water and didn't know how to swim. She was in love with me, but I cruelly rejected her. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. Was he actually sorry? For a few minutes, I even thought of letting go of my need for revenge, but no, I had to get back at them. On the way home, I gave Jacob a hint. You know, I've always hoped that a guy would publicly confess to me, like in a romantic movie. Judging by the expression on his face, he got the hint. Now all I had to do was wait. Remember Sarah, the girl that Fiona had called a parrot? Well, her birthday came soon. She invited us to a club. Sarah's parents had rented an entire room for us. At the beginning of the event, I went up to her. I'm surprised you invited Fiona to the party. Why? Well, she's been saying all sorts of things about you. Sarah looked at me blankly. I then played the recording of Fiona talking about Sarah's makeup and comparing her to a parrot. Sarah gasped with indignation. While she was recovering, I went up to the other girls and I let them listen to the recording as well. Fiona had made fun of almost all of them. Luckily for her, she was running late. I was looking forward to seeing her reunion with her friends. Sarah was about to invite the guests to the table when Jacob suddenly came to the center of the room. Beautiful music started to play. Confetti fell from somewhere above us, and he looked straight at me. My heart started to race. I already knew what was gonna happen.
Mila, please come here.
Jacob handed me a bouquet of roses.
I really like you. Please be my girlfriend.
I could feel the envious looks of all the other girls. They wanted to be me. If it had been a romantic movie, this would have been the moment where I agreed. But, sorry, you aren't good enough for me. At first, Jacob froze, confused. But then, he stepped back as if he'd been slapped. He stared at me and seemed to realize everything at once. He must have remembered telling me the same thing.
You?
Yes, I'm Mila, the girl who was afraid of water. At that very moment, I saw Fiona in the doorway. She had heard our conversation and grown very gloomy.
So it was you. You decided to take revenge on me. Our neighbor said she hadn't called the police. I was wondering who did it. You even gave me that cream I'm allergic to.
I smiled silently, and I didn't try to deny anything. You can deal with Mila later. I have a few questions for you. Sarah started to move towards Fiona, and the rest of the girls joined her. In the end, Fiona was kicked out of the party in disgrace. I left too. I felt like a winner. However, my triumph didn't last long. The girls didn't want anything to do with me or Fiona. When I saw them on the street, they didn't even say hello to me. They were probably upset with me because of Jacob. Over time, I realized that I missed him. As luck would have it, I remembered all the good times that we'd had. The dates, the gifts, the 𝗪𝗓𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏. My old feelings came back. I suddenly realized that I had stooped to Fiona's level. It all made me really upset, and I had a hard time focusing. I kept looking at the place where Jacob used to sit during practice.
What's going on with you? You're gonna fail the competition if this keeps up.
Something had to change, so I decided I would try and get Jacob back. I came to his place to talk, but he wouldn't listen to me.
You knew I was sorry, and you laughed at me anyway. I really liked you, but you're completely fake.
I didn't give up. I kept waiting for Jacob by his house and coming up to him to talk. He had once mentioned that he wanted to play hockey, so I went to a sports store and I bought him a stick. I came to his house again and I handed him the gift. I'm really sorry. At first, I thought Jacob wouldn't accept the gift, but to my surprise, he smiled. We made up and started spending time together again. I was so happy. Soon came the day of the competition. Jacob came to support me. The signal sounded and we took off. I quickly pulled ahead. At some point, I looked up and you won't believe what I saw. Fiona was standing next to Jacob. they were kissing. Anything but that. It couldn't be. It was happening again. I was so confused that I fell behind everyone else. Fiona looked at me smugly. It became clear that they had decided to take revenge on me. The old 𝗕𝗟𝗓 would have burst into tears, but I'm not the old 𝗕𝗟𝗓. They didn't know who they were messing with. I pulled myself together, and I won. Fiona was furious. Jacob looked lost. I no longer paid any attention to them, and I decided I would just get over my crush. I would never stoop to their level again. A week later, I went back to California. Life got better again. I had a lot of friends and fans there. I was a star at my school. One guy even asked me out, and I think I'll say yes to him. By the way, Jacob texted me again. He said that, yeah, he'd been wrong to do it, but he blamed everything else on Fiona. He said that she'd come up with a plan, and he had just agreed since he was upset. Jacob tried to get me back, but I turned him down. I'm not interested in all that drama anymore. Do you think I did the right thing, or should I have given him another chance?